Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
I think the refs had a sensing in them tonight. Oh, I want to hit the button so bad. I missed the button.
No button for us tonight.
We both missed the button. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Game Over Ottawa. Vibes are down. Vibes are remarkably low at the moment.
I'd say it's a weird night for vibes. It was kind of an up and down game, especially right until the end there. Like, we were in the lead for most of the game and then just kind of lost it at the end. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I was kind of hoping to come in here with a positive spin, even though we were badly outshot again, but just the way that ended left a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah, it's not often that you put up 3 goals and 14 shots on Vasilevsky and still manage to not win. So that's a bummer. But yeah, power play opportunities were what, 8-3, I want to say.
Oh man, I don't even know.
Tampa had 19 minutes on the power play, essentially on the power play for a full period, and I know we can definitely complain about the refs. I think that the refs were awful and the Sens took a bunch of dumb, pointless penalties. I think both can be true. I think, a few are definitely no go. Sanderson, the high stick that didn't make contact with Colton's face. Who was it? Even I gotta step up. I gotta defend Hamnick. Hamnick's tripping penalty, not a trip.
Yeah, that one I had actually bookmarked a little replay of that on Twitter to bring it up again because that was horrible.
Not a
that
trip.
Again.
Not a trip. That said, Tkachuk's interference penalty, yes, interference. That too many men penalty already on the PK, just inexcusable.
That was shocking. That cannot
brutal.
happen.
I can't remember the rest of them off the top of my head, but I think 50-50 might be generous, but I think that the refs can be awful and the Sens can make very, very dumb decisions and take poor penalties. I think both can be true at once, and I think that's the case.
I definitely agree that it was a mix of both tonight. I was going to bring up the same thing. And speaking of the too many men, I also wanted to point out, after they took that penalty and then they were killing the 5-on-3, I noticed before Joseph's goal, there was whoever the previous forward was for Joseph, I think, was going off the ice. I saw 2 guys hop on, and so we had 4 for about a second or two, and then luckily the second forward realized and he went back on the bench. So we almost did it again right away. Yeah, it was really quick. It was really hard to spot, but that scared the crap out of me. Like,
what's going on with the changes?
Did a too many men, and we almost and already on a 5-on-3 too. That was just inexcusable. At least they caught that second one.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. I never even noticed that. I did not pick up on that. But wow. I think just as much. Let me just double check the numbers here. Let me check the minutes. I think just as much of a story as the 8-3 power plays are, certainly for Tampa with their ridiculous amount, their full period on the power play. The Sens PK. What a game for the Sens PK, going 7 for 8. The only time you're ever going to see Tyler Mott nearing 20 minutes of ice time in the game. I think he had 18 minutes. Let me double check that actually.
Yeah, I was really interested to go look at the box score. I've got it open here now just to see how high the ice time got for some of those penalty killers. Because like you said, a guy like Tyler Mott, 18 minutes and 4 seconds. That might be a career high for him, to be honest.
Yeah.
In terms of regular season games, because obviously playoff games can get a bit crazy with overtimes and that. But
yeah. Matthew Joseph at 17:26. What a game for Joseph, though. Like,
yeah,
unreal.
Definitely got to give him his props tonight.
Okay, so I need to. Oh man. Okay, so I need to address something in the chat because I don't know if you had time to watch me just complain about the team for a solid 40 minutes after that Panthers game, but I was furious at the amount of ice time Zaitsev had 4-on-4 and on the PK. Zaitsev played 19 minutes tonight, 10 of which on the PK. And
Boy.
of all the games, sure, I understand if he plays a bit of time on the PK. You can't just run the same like 4 players to play a whole period. That's not all right. I get it. But he played most. He played 10-32 shorthanded. The Sens were shorthanded for 19 minutes. He played majority. Are you kidding? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. When you see that he has 4.5 minutes more than Hamonic had, like, I know on the penalty kill, maybe sometimes you get trapped in your zone for a little bit. It takes you like maybe over a minute to clear it. Maybe that can skew some of the stats sometimes in terms of how long you're on for, but that's a pretty big discrepancy. Holden and Zaitsev both being above 10 minutes for the shorthanded time on ice, and Hamonic 6 minutes, Sanderson 4 minutes. Like, it probably would have been nice to see that spread out a little bit more.
And I know we were just talking about how great okay, so here's the issue. We said the PK looked great. Most of the PK had Zaitsev on the ice, and now we're saying, oh, I can't believe Zaitsev played that much. Okay. There's some, yeah.
What I'll say is that I don't think Zaitsev was too bad tonight. There wasn't a lot of moments where he had me groaning and being like, oh my God, what is Zaitsev doing? Which kind of happens a lot. But if you keep playing Zaitsev that much, those games are going to happen and those moments are going to happen. So even though we kind of almost got away with it today, playing him that much, it's really not a good strategy for the future.
Yeah, I was really looking for something that Zaitsev did. I think because I was looking for something, there was a giveaway that he had that resulted in a Sens icing call, and then the defensive zone face-off. And granted, it's not a direct thing because I watched then the Sens. They went down the ice into Tampa zone, then they came back, and then Tampa scored. But I was still like, I got to find a way to put that on Zaitsev because if he hadn't had that giveaway that turned into an icing call, if he had just made the clean pass. And I know I'm like, Zaitsev did this thing. I can't remember when it was exactly or how it went, but Zaitsev did the thing. I made sure to point out Zaitsev did a bad thing. God.
One other thing that I find interesting about the shorthanded ice time here is that Shabbat didn't play a single second shorthanded, which I know that he isn't really a penalty killer, but you'd think in a game where you take 8 separate penalties that he would get in there eventually.
I'd find a way to stick him on the ice in that 5-minute major. Like you have to. That 5-minute, if there's a 5-minute major and it's a tight game, the idea of having both Zaitsev and Hamonic on for, call it, 2.5 minutes each sounds like hell.
It does. It really does.
I don't know. I don't know how you do that. I don't know.
Shabbat still ended up getting 23 minutes 22 seconds in total ice time, so it's not like I mean, it's kind of low for his standards, but it's not like it was
can we just take a moment
or anything?
Can we just take a moment to say that we finally figured out the problem? All you need to do to get Shabbat under 25 minutes a game is to play 19 minutes on the PK.
Yeah,
that's a simple solution.
That was one thing that I was really looking to pay close attention to in this game was Shabbat's ice time, because I remember seeing a stat before the game on Twitter that when his ice time is way above 27 minutes, the Sens record is really not good. I have it here. It's actually 4:20-3 when his ice time is above 27 minutes. And then as you go down, it gets slightly better. So in the 24 to 27 minute range, they're at an even record of 12-12. And then below 24 minutes, 11-4-1. And I did see a lot of people point out that Shabbat is more likely to get more ice time in games where we're already trailing. Say if you go down 3-0 early, then you'll kind of just throw them out there to try to get a ton of offense.
Double shift your best guys. That makes sense.
So because I saw that stat before the game, I was interested to see how much ice time Shabbat would get tonight, because it was kind of a sticking point in the last game where, despite not having the best results on ice in terms of the shot differential, he just played 30 minutes anyway against Florida. But like you said, the penalties kind of killed that storyline. It's like, if he's not going to play on the penalty kill, you might as well just send him on every even strength shift anyway, because he's ready to go.
Another thing while we're on the subject of ice time, Pinto being finally officially on the second line, finally cracked 16 minutes. So that's a plus there. Mm-hmm. He's playing more than whatever it was last game. 12 minutes, I think. Just something dumb.
that was another storyline to watch too, was Pinto finally being moved up. A lot of people wanted to see that as soon as Norris went down with injury. I think myself included there. I think Brassard filled in pretty well for a little bit, but he's not really a guy at this point that I think can consistently play in a top 6 role. So it was nice to see Pinto moved up by the coaches today, although once again, because of all the penalties, I feel like maybe it's just I wasn't as focused on the 5-on-5 shifts, but I didn't notice too much from any of our lines really at 5-on-5. So I'm not really sure how to evaluate his game today, to be honest, because it was such a, like, there was no flow to the game really. It was so many whistles, just craziness.
Yeah, I think I saw on Twitter, I think it was through 2 periods. I don't know what the final count on that was, but I saw just in general, like the expected goals 5-on-5, the Sens were slightly ahead. That was through 2 periods. But I don't know. Like, I love fancy stats. I love me some fancy stats. I love me some analytic stuff. But I mean, purely eye test, I didn't think they looked phenomenal 5-on-5. I don't even think they looked even most of that game. But I think maybe people were a little too fine with how they were 5-on-5 through that game, just because that Florida game is so fresh in our minds.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a factor. I don't know. I don't know. It just it's a game where, sure, the refs sucked, but the Sens also played themselves out of winning a game where Vasilevsky put up probably one of the worst save percentages of his career.
Yeah, that's probably the most frustrating thing for me tonight, other than like calls by the refs, is that it is very rare to get 3 goals on Vasilevsky with such a low number of shots.
Yeah.
I'm always super frustrated going into games against Tampa Bay, just because I know, like, oh my god, Vasilevsky, I hate playing against him. Like, even it's not like you're gonna get a ton of shots against Tampa Bay on an ordinary night.
They box you out so well.
So then that makes it even harder. Like, usually I feel like we're just not scoring on Vasilevsky like ever when we go into Tampa. Like, I feel like it's always like a 2-1 loss or a 3-1 or something.
Yeah.
So he actually was human for once tonight, and we wasted it. So that was really disappointing to see.
It's a bummer, and I think I don't want to be like trying to change the subject from the refs were bad, because they were awful. The refs were terrible. But when the refs are terrible, and I have to go back to this, the Sens just took so many stupid penalties that they shouldn't have. That Brady interference, like, soft, cool. Yeah, you can call it a soft call. He just gave him a little shove, but that shove is why Stützle was able to break out into the zone with the puck, and then that penalty is going to be called no matter what. So if you know the refs, call it worst case scenario, are looking for calls to call against you, why don't you go out of your way to play way more conservatively? Like, you're going to get away with trying to rough up any of the Lightning players. It's just not realistic.
Yeah, I agree. That play by Tkachuk is a pretty textbook like pick or interference play.
Yeah.
And like you said, on a night where the refs are literally calling everything, they're calling plays where our guy's stick goes past someone's face, and they call that a high stick.
Yeah.
And then Hamonic just finishing his check, and they're calling that a trip somehow. Like, you got to be a little bit sneakier with plays like that. I think Brady was just a little bit too brash there, a little bit too obvious there, and that was just a problem throughout the night.
Yeah, that said, I do think that I think Tkachuk was tripped on like right before. I think it was the Kucherov goal. I'm pretty sure Tkachuk was for sure tripped in the defensive end before the Kucherov goal. So it's from one end it looks like the refs are calling everything, and then from another end it looks like maybe they're being a little bit more picky about it. But it's you scored 3 goals on Vasilevsky with 14 shots. You should win that game.
Yeah.
For sure. I think from last game and this game, I'm officially sick of time on ice discourse. But if you have any other comments about the time on ice, like that defense ice time is wild. The lowest number is Brandstrom at 16 minutes.
Yeah, like,
wow. Only the 2 cracked 20 minutes. Holden and Shabbat.
Yeah, it's rare to see D pairings like spread out like that.
Yeah, it was fairly even.
It's funny. And again, it's funny because a lot of people say like, "Oh, we want to see more of that. We don't want Shabbat on the ice the entire time." But then we get that, and it's just because of all these damn penalties.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there just too many clear. And I didn't even bring up the just blatant friggin' headshot Gambrell had on Chernak there. That's a no doubter. That's five in the game. Yeah, like you can't argue that.
I'm not gonna argue it.
The first fight in Game Over Ottawa history. Yeah, here we go.
Because I don't want to like diminish plays where there's head contact and stuff because I know how serious that can be. Mm-hmm. But I felt like he barely hit him in the head, and it didn't look malicious at all. I felt like it should have just been a 2-minute penalty. Like I didn't really think that was worthy of being ejected from the game from.
That's fair. That's fair. I think on the replay, I don't know. Maybe I saw him sticking his elbow out more than he did.
Because like Gambrell was kind of turning away from Chernak, and Chernak was also hunched over. It's not like he wasn't in a tricky position or reached or anything. Yeah. So like obviously, I guess that's a vulnerable position that Chernak's in, but it's also one where an accidental collision is more likely. Then, like, when you see a guy hunched over like that, I don't think you're trying to hit him in the head there.
Right.
I don't know. I thought the call was a little bit harsh.
Yeah, and on the subject of Gambrell, I need to. I've already sent you my note on him, but I think it's just the most Sens thing ever. So Gambrell's playing his first game of the season. He gets the team's first shot 6 minutes in, and scores. And only does so because he was in position by falling behind the net and getting late to get up. It's the most Sens thing of all time. 6 minutes in, first goal of the first shot of the game is a goal in your first game, and
it was a bit of a blooper type goal. Like he stumbled behind the net and he kind of caused the Tampa defender to fall over too. And then Gambrell just happened to be the one who gets up first, and then the puck just bounces right to him. And then because he fell and knocked over the other guy, there's no one covering him now. It was just a pretty goofy play.
Had that moment of Vasilevsky's going, "How are you still back there?"
Yeah.
He pops up. And then, so that's almost 2 blooper goals on Vasilevsky that you need to take advantage of. Because, I mean, granted, the Giroux goal is just straight up Tkachuk just stripping of the puck behind the net, which was a phenomenal play, and that diving wraparound attempt was great. Mm-hmm. Tkachuk and Joseph, I think, looked like they wanted this game the most.
Yeah.
Those two were everywhere. Just some weird goals. I'm doing my best to find a segue here, but I think I'm going to put that on you. You think of a segue while I very late read a word from our sponsor here. Want to bet? You can do it at Sports Interaction, Canada's sportsbook. Football continues, the World Series is ongoing, and the Phillies are winning right now. And the hockey season is well underway. Bet pregame, live and play, or on one of our many prop bets made for Canadians by Canadians. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all sports betting has to offer. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. Ontario only, 19+. Please play responsibly.
Well, normally I'd like to go through like specific players on the team, and I would say like, oh, how do you think he played? But tonight I feel like that's really difficult to comment on a lot of specific players, just because the 5-on-5 play was so scarce that it's like not really
tough to judge.
No one really stood out to me other than the guys who are making the big plays on the penalty kill, like Joseph, Mott, Holden, and Hamonic. Like, I feel like it's a little tough.
Who stood out to you? I think Mott and Joseph. I think the fact that the Sens had 2 breakaways on a 5-on-3 is the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Against the Lightning of all, and I know the Lightning's power play has been kind of struggling this year, at least compared to what they're supposed to be. I wonder how the Sens PK is now, because I think it was 24th heading into this game.
It was struggling a little bit, but it definitely would have gotten a boost from
now.
Whatever
It's probably looking better. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever the percentage of 1 out of 8 is, like
That's a 12.5, and I hate that I know that. And I think I only know that because of McDavid's contract. 12.5 by 8 is
nice.
Is 100. So
the little mental math.
Yeah, I'm terrible at math unless it's stats.
Unless it's hockey related.
Yeah, sports stats specifically. I can't do anything else.
But yeah, it was funny when they got those 2 breakaways on the 5-on-3, because like especially the second one by Joseph, you could kind of see it coming because he was pressuring really high in the zone and Tampa was just passing around at the point anyway. Like it kind of felt like Tampa was just going through the motions on the power play there, and they weren't really concerned about like how Joseph was playing it on defense. So I wasn't really surprised at all when I saw him get that breakaway.
Yeah, it was so much time.
It was a little bit of a broken play though, where he had to he knocked it away and then he had to regain possession in the neutral zone. I know he's really fast, but I was a little bit surprised that he got in cleanly there away from the Tampa player. So that was really impressive from him. And a great moment for him scoring against his former team too.
Yeah, that was maybe 5 feet out from the red line. He was all alone, just center ice basically, barely past the halfway point of the neutral zone. He's all alone, has all the time in the world.
Yeah, I wish we could have got the win for him tonight against his former team. That would have been nice.
He wanted that win so bad.
At least Nick Paul didn't score, although he kind of did.
Oh, can I? Okay, I know rent free. But I was mentioning this. I was watching the game with my dad, and I had to mention how perfect that trade was, and that the Sens got a phenomenal player in Matthew Joseph. Just honestly, kind of the perfect third liner.
He really is.
And in return, the Leafs got the guy who beat, or the Lightning got the guy who beat the Leafs in the first round. Just perfect. That's
perfect for us and for them.
That's a perfectly great, mutually beneficial trade. Yeah, I'm honestly, I mean, I was super into how Joseph was playing towards the end of the season last year when they got him. I'm still surprised by how much I'm loving his game on the Sens. I'm completely impressed.
Now, here's a question relating to Joseph. If you remember last year when he came in after the trade deadline, I think it was when Batherson was still injured. They put him with Tkachuk and Norris on the first line. And that was pretty good. And the reason I bring this up is, even though, like, obviously it wouldn't be with Tkachuk and Norris because Norris is injured, but because Norris is injured, I kind of wonder if we should spread the offense around a little bit. It's kind of hard to judge again today because of all the penalties. So we didn't really see much of how the third line would be at 5-on-5 with Kastelic in the middle there instead of Pinto. But I do wonder if maybe Joseph could be a guy that they try to move up into the top 6 again. And then, I don't know, maybe you move Batherson down or something like that to try to spread out the offense. I kind of wonder if maybe they should look at doing something like that.
Yeah, I saw a few ideas on Twitter about maybe sticking Giroux as a second line center and then moving some wingers around it. Giroux being able to play center is really nice in this situation with some injuries, and maybe, you know, moving Pinto around doesn't fix everything and then you have to screw with lines a bit more. But yeah, the fact that the Sens have a bunch of guys who can play center is nice. But yeah, I completely agree. Don't do anything yet. You have no idea what you have 5-on-5.
Yeah.
It's because if the Sens had 3 power plays, so I'm doing the math, so that's 25 minutes of this game was not at even strength. Plus at least one instance of 4-on-4 for a couple minutes.
Also, when it says 1 for 8 power plays for Tampa, does the 5-minute count as just 1?
I believe so, yeah. So
then we would have to add like 3 extra minutes onto the...
Yeah, so it'd be 16, that's 2, so plus 3, so 19. And then say an extra 6 minutes of the Sens on 3 power plays, so that's 25. And then 2 minutes of 4-on-4, so 27. So 33 minutes of 5-on-5.
Oh, yeah.
Not even. The last 2 minutes were 6-on-5 because the Sens pulled the goalie. That's about 31. Half the game was played 5-on-5.
Yeah,
you can't judge the team's 5-on-5 ability in this game.
Yeah,
clearly
for sure.
Yeah, I'd say give Pinto at least one more game in the top 6 with that top 6 put together. I'd rather they give it 2 games maybe, just to be even more safe if possible. But yeah,
it'll be interesting back on home ice too, where we can control the matchups, because that's one thing that's got me a little worried so far too, is that now we're 0-4 on the road compared to 4-1 at home. And then it makes me wonder if the home games were like a little bit of a mirage. Like, we still played against mostly good opponents in those games, but when you see such a discrepancy between the home and away record, it's like
it's odd.
It makes you feel like one of them, like, I don't know if maybe it's just me being too negative, but it makes you feel like eventually the home record is also going to go down when the away record is that bad, you know? Like,
or ideally the away record goes up. But
ideally, but then I wonder, because on home ice you get like the matchups and stuff.
That's true.
Maybe that makes us look worse on the road, so they need to figure that out, I guess.
Yeah, if you look at the matchups at home and on the road, so on the road they've played Buffalo, who looks good, better than, I mean, everyone knew Buffalo's would be better, but they look better than expected.
Yeah.
And Craig Anderson just sends them hard. Toronto, who, no comment on whether or not they look good. I don't want to stir the pot. And then you've got Florida and Tampa. So on the road, oh no, I'm missing one road game, aren't I? No, I'm not. It's 5 home and 4 on the road.
It was those 4.
The road games, 3 out of 4 of them should be locks for the playoffs. So I'm not too worried. Granted, they are division games, and you want to see some wins there.
Yeah.
But then compared to at home, Boston, that was a huge win. That's a huge win. They gave up 5 goals. We don't talk about that.
Yeah, oh my God.
Then the Washington game, they looked pretty solid. So you got Boston, Washington, Arizona, and
then
Dallas and Minnesota.
And then a loss to Minnesota, yeah.
Yeah. So the home, other than the Coyotes, those are all strong teams as well.
Yeah.
The Sens definitely haven't had the easiest. I don't think they've had the hardest schedule, but they definitely haven't had the easiest yet. So I don't want to blow anything up too soon. But yeah, it might be worth trying something if, say, a couple games from now it's still looking a little iffy.
Yeah, I mean, at least if this trend continues, hopefully we'll be having some more exciting streams in the next few games, because I think it's the next 3 games at home. So maybe that will raise our chances a little bit more. But yeah, like you said, you pointed out that the 4 road games are all against divisional opponents. And that's something that's worrying me too, because like, apart from them being road games, like with how crazy the Eastern Conference and especially the Atlantic Division is so far this year, with
my God,
almost every team now except for the Sens, because they lost, and then Columbus, everyone being at 500 or better. Like,
I'm a Blue Jays fan, so I'm on month like 8 of this right now.
Oh yeah,
it's
MLB standings are always ridiculous.
The AL East and the Atlantic are molding into one like nightmare that I have every night. I can't get away from it. My teams are both in the best division in their league. It drives me nuts. I can't deal with it. The Atlantic is nuts. The Atlantic is ridiculous.
We knew Detroit was going to be better this year, but like, I didn't think Boston was going to get off to such a good start. I thought that the injuries that they have, with Marchand missing a bunch of games and McAvoy being out, I really thought that would have slowed them down, but it hasn't.
Yeah.
And then Buffalo has obviously had a way better start. And just like, I know we beat Boston, but giving up 8 points to all those other divisional opponents already is really rough. Just considering how tight everything is. Because even though we're only 4 points back from the wild card spot, all the other teams in our division are right there with us. So
yeah, it's a tight race, and I think, yeah, as close as the Sens are at all times because of how tight it is, a lot of teams are even closer just because of that, and it's brutal. Last thing I'm going to bring up before we have to call it here, a lot of talk both in the chat and on Sens Twitter about DJ Smith. How are you feeling? Because I know we talked about DJ Smith before. We were saying that if he makes it to 30 games into the season, he will have coached the second most games in franchise history. Do you think he, number one, gets there and deserves to get there?
Ooh. I would say that he gets there. Deserves to get there. I'm a little bit more not sure, because I kind of, if I had to predict right now, I kind of feel like the Sens are just gonna kind of be up and down throughout the season, and around you said
Right.
30 games. I think around that mark, I think
Yeah.
we'll be still being competitive, but I don't think we'll be like really taking off like clearly in a playoff spot or anything like that. Like I
Yeah.
don't really expect the team to flame out and have DJ fired before the 30 game mark.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have to say that if we're below 500 by the 30 game mark, I would probably want him gone. I'm
Right.
just trying to be optimistic enough that hopefully we won't be in that position. But what do you think?
I think it's tricky because the team isn't supposed to make the playoffs. I think anywhere between 85 to 90 points is a win. I think that's a good season. So I think if, say, the team finishes around 500 or maybe just below, say the team wins 35, between 35 and like 38 games or something, I think that's fine. But if the Sens are in a position where, you know, they're in the conversation to be a bottom 10 team by that 20, maybe 25 games, I think if the Sens are really struggling and it's bad 25 games in, I think you kind of gotta cut the cord there a little bit. I think you gotta find a replacement maybe, but I also have no idea what the right move is with the team that isn't supposed to make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's tough because like you said, on paper, no one really expects us to like clearly be in the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
but we want to see exciting games and close games and meaningful hockey, even that if that doesn't necessarily mean playoffs. I'd still love to see like actual meaningful games in March and April.
Right.
I don't want to be sitting here on the show just talking about how we're 10 games below 500
Yeah.
and like
Yeah, that was a
once
really
again,
fun
you know?
game against Vegas. Trying to keep Vegas out of the play. Like, who gives a crap
Yeah,
if the
playing
Sens
spoiler
are
once again.
against the Western Conference? Or, like, we want to talk about something more interesting than that for sure. For sure.
Now, if DJ does go, I will say that I think they really need to go for a coach that focuses on defensive structure, because I feel like even in games where we don't allow a lot of goals, I feel like that's still a major issue just in terms of the positioning and where players are out on the ice. Like it seems a lot of the time that it just looks like a bunch of confused guys out there, but
yeah,
I don't know.
We'll have to see. I think we're gonna have hopefully a lot of answers after the next game. Probably a few more questions at the same time. Thank you everyone for tuning in to this episode of Game Over Ottawa, and we'll see you next time. And hopefully we'll be hitting that sends button. Thanks for watching.